Good morning, students. Today we are going to talk about the novel which you have in your syllabus, Around the World in 80 Days. Around the World in 80 Days. This novel is written by Jules Verne. Jules Verne was a French novelist, poet, and playwright. Actually, his collaboration with the publisher Hetzel led to the creation of the Voyages Extraordinaires, a series of best-selling adventure novels including Around the World in 80 Days, which was written in 1872. Verne is considered to be an important author in France and most of Europe, where he has had a wide influence on the literary on surrealism. His reputation was markedly different, where he had often been labeled a writer of fictions or children's books, largely because of the highly abridged and altered translation in which his novels have often been printed. Since the 1980s, his literary reputation has improved. Not only this, but Verne has been the second most translated author in the world since 1979, ranking between Christie and William Shakespeare. As of 2018, he is still the second most translated author. He has sometimes been called the father of science fiction, a title that has also been given to H.G. Wells. So today we are going to talk about this novel Around the World in 80 Days. Here, student, in this novel we are going to talk about the travel adventure novel by French author Jules Verne. It was published serially in 1872 in lead temps and in book forms in 1873. The work tells the story of the unflappable Phileas Fogg's trips around the world, accompanied by his emotional valet Passepartout to win a bet. It was the most popular of Verne's Voyages Extraordinaries series of novels. Student, first we are going to talk about some important characters of this novel. The style of this production allows for theatre groups to cross gender many of non-singing roles. As it has a very high comic style, female members of a company can play roles such as Captain Speedy, Mr. Oyster Pop, and Wilson, etc. as a gentleman. It has many roles and can also be presented in a way that is suitable for all groups with a high volume of female members. It is all down to the comic character they can play. Main characters in this story are Phileas Fogg, first main character, the hero of our novel. Phileas Fogg, 40-year-old person, the epitome of the British steep upper lip, reserved, upright and gentlemanly, politeness, embodied, rational, calm, generous, self-controlled person. He is very particular about how things are done. And he is a wealthy Englishman. He had begged his friends to go around the world in 80 days. He is disciplined, careful, practical, caring, brave, generous, patient, calm, and kind. And the most important quality he has, that is, he is confident. And because of his confidence only, he had bet his friend that he is going to travel in the world around in 80 days. Next main character of the novel is Passepartout. He appears as the new butler of Mr. Fogg. He is a young man who is nearly about 30 years old. Willie, French valet of Fogg, acrobatic, physical, comical, honest, executes, warmth, brave, and he is fiercely loyal to his master. He is excitable and resourceful person. He is an honest person as well as a funny Frenchman who is loyal to his master and yet gets into situation that hinder his master plans to travel around the world. He is a hard-working person, enthusiastic, efficient, protective of his master, quick-thinking, trustworthy, kind, honest, and funny person. Next important character is Inspector or Detective Fix. 50-year-old person, single-minded, dyed in the wool, old school policeman, East and Cockney, comical in his unshakable belief that Fogg is the robber of the Bank of England. He is proud of his reputation as an tenacious man of the law. His motto is I always get man, easily frustrated person. He comes to the wrong conclusion that Fogg is the bank robber. He tried to arrest Mr. Fogg in the British territory but he couldn't. He helped Fogg next to reach the England fast to arrest him there. He is an intelligent, observant, curious, suspicious, deceive, and apologetic person. One more important person in this novel is Oda. Oda is a girl who is 20 to 30 years old. She is a Parsi Indian princess educated in England. Sometimes displays a quiet strength. She is beautiful and emotional. She is caring, thoughtful and loyal. She grows to love Fogg for his kind heart and care. Many more characters are there, students, like Andrew Stott, Ralph, John, Captain Speedy, Edler Hitch, Thomas, Mudge, John, Mr. Oysterpuff, Samuel Fallentin, Forster, Dolly Keeb, Miriam Ruth, Rev Wilson, Blue Lotus, and many more. So now we are going to talk about the story of our novel. So first, student, we are going to discuss about the summary of our novel. In short, I am going to tell you summary. You need to read full story which is given in your textbook. So here the Phileas Fogg, a London gentleman of meticulous and unchanging habits, hire as his valet Jean Passepartout, a Frenchman who has had a variety of jobs, including circus performer, but now seeks a tranquil life. After reading in the Daily Telegraph that a new railroad in India has made it theoretically possible to travel around the world in 80 days, Fogg bets his fellow members at the Reform Club that he will make that journey in 80 days. In 80 days or less. The wager is for the princely sum of $20,000. Leaving that night, Fogg and a nonplussed Passepartout board a train bound for Dover and Calais to begin their journey. Shortly before Fogg's departure, someone resembling him had robbed a bank and Fogg's sudden exit leads Scotland Yard to believe that he was only the bank robber. So, according to Detective Mr. Fix, is sent to Suez in British rule Egypt to await the steamer Mongolia on which Fogg and Passepartout are travelling. Fix befriends Passepartout, and after learning that they will take the steamer to Bombay, he buys a ticket and joins them. The Mongolia reaches Bombay before the arrival and arrest warrant, however. During the few hours before their planned departure for Calcutta, the city of joy, on the Great India Peninsula Railway, Passepartout visits a Hindu temple on Malabar Hill, unaware that Christians are forbidden to enter and that shoes are not to be worn inside. He is beaten by enraged priest and barely makes it to the train station on time. The train travels through India until stopping at the village of Kholbi, where Fogg learns that, contrary to what was reported in the British press, the railroad is 50 miles short of a completion and passengers are required to find their own way to Allahabad to resume the train trip. Fogg purchases an elephant and hires a Parsi man as elephant driver and guide. The elephant-born party later encounters a group of people preparing for an act of suti, the immolation of a widow on her husband's funeral pyre. Fogg decides that they must rescue the young widow. Passepartout disguises himself as the body of the late Raja, and as soon as the pyre is lit, he springs up and seizes the widow. The party then flees before the ruse is discovered. They reach the railroad station in Allahabad and continue their journey. In Calcutta, however, Fogg and Passepartout are arrested and sentenced to prison because of Passepartout's incursion into the Malabar Hill Temple in Bombay. And unpurged Fogg pays bail for them, and accompanied by the widow Oda, they board a steamer bound for Hong Kong. Fix, who had hoped the sentences would keep them in Calcutta long enough for the warrant to arrive, joins them. In Hong Kong, Passepartout attempts to rescue cabins on a boat to Yokohama and learns that its departure has been rescheduled for that evening. Desperate to keep Fogg in Hong Kong until the warrant arrives, Fix tells Passepartout why he is following Fogg and offers to pay him to help delays Fogg's departure. When Passepartout refuses, Fix drugs him with opium, preventing him from returning to Fogg. As a result, Fogg misses the steamer. However, he finds another ship that will take them to Shanghai, and he, Oda and Fix set sail. In the meantime, Passepartout manages to stagger onto the ship for Yokohama. Passepartout arrives in Yokohama with no money and no idea where Fogg is. He joins a travelling circus where Fogg having caught a Yokohama-bound steamer from Shanghai, encounters him just in time for them all to board the steamer that will take them to San Francisco. As Britain has no jurisdictions in the United States, Fix is now as eager as the rest of them to get Fogg back to England quickly. The group boards a train bound for New York. The train trip continues more or less uneventfully until it reaches Medicine Bow, where a single man tells them that the suspension bridge is too dilapidated to bear the weight of a train. However, the engineer believes that it might be possible to safely cross the bridge by going at top speed. And the plan works, with the bridge collapsing as soon as the train reaches the other side. In Nebraska, the train is attacked by a band who are on the point of winning the battle when Passepartout succeed in coupling the train from its engine outside. Fort Kenny and the soldiers garrisoned there frightened the Sioux into leaving. However, the Sioux captured Passepartout and two other passengers. Fogg rides to their rescue with a group of soldiers, but the recoupled train departs with them. Using a self-powder sledge, Fogg and the other travel over snow to Omaha, Nebraska, arriving just in time to board a train to Chicago. From there, they catch a train to New York City, where they arrive 45 minutes after departure of the ship to England. Fogg finds an empty trading ship whose captain is willing to carry the group of four to France. After bribing the crew and imprisoning the captain, Fogg assumes control and set course for Liverpool, England. When a storm prevents the use of sails, the coal supply runs low. Fogg buys the ships from the captain and begins burning its wooden part. As soon as they arrive in Liverpool, Fix arrests Fogg. Several hours later, though Fix learns that another man was responsible for the bank robbery, and he releases Fogg finally, who orders a special train. However, he arrives in London 5 minutes too late to win his wager. The following evening, Fogg apologizes to Oda for being unable to provide for her comfort as a result of losing the bet. She in turn proposes marriage to him, and he joyfully agrees. Passepartout is sent to engage a clergyman, and he learns that their journey through the time zones had gained them a day, and that they are not too late after all. He rushes back to notify Fogg, who arrives at the Reform Club with only moment to spare. So student, this was the summary of the lesson. Here the Phileas Fogg has to go around the world in 80 days if he has to win a wager. However, as soon as Fogg, Oda and Passepartout arrives in Liverpool on the last part of their journey, Detective Fix arrests and imprisons Fogg. Why? Because he is thinking that he is the bank robber. Who? Fogg. He is later released Fogg, but that time Fogg has missed his train from Liverpool. The special train he arranged gets delayed and Fogg arrives in London late. Now Fogg is afraid that the deadline for the bet has passed and he has lost the wager. Phileas is depressed and locks himself in his room. Oda and Passepartout now they are terribly worried about him. Later Fogg apologizes to Oda for being unable to provide for her a comfortable life because he is losing the bet. But in return, Oda proposes marriage to him. Now the Fogg, he is happy and joyfully he agrees that. Passepartout is sent out to engage a clergyman to marry Fogg and Oda the next day. At the clergyman's house, when the Passepartout he comes, so that time he finds out that it's actually Saturday, not a Sunday, like the group has been thinking. By traveling eastward around the world, they had gained a day when they crossing the international deadline. So he rushes home, grabs Phileas and take him to the Reform Club. Phileas presents himself to his antagonist with seconds to spare and ultimately wins the bet. Though he is rich once more, what he finds that more important, that he has won the heart of a charming woman. And that's why here the fog is more happy, because he become rich when he won the bet, but he is happy because the charming girl, she is ready to marry him and he is going to spend his rest of life with her. So student, here the setting is also given of the novel, where wherever fog he has traveled around the world, dates are also mentioned, and here is the introduction of the author. And here the story is given in short. Okay, so this was the story for the novel Around the World in 80 Days, which was written by Jules Verne, who was a French novelist. So today we are going to stop here. You have to read story line by line. There will be activities based on these stories. Activities are given in the book so that you try to solve. If there is any query, you can ask me in live session. Okay, thank you and have a nice day.